The original Faces of Death from 1978 is one of the most controversial films of all time. It features real footage of people dying, along with fake but graphic death sequences that were so convincing at the time, the whole film was marketed as being real. This film was created purely to shock people, and despite being banned in many countries, it became a massive hit, infamous for how violent and sickening its content was. Fast forward 30 years later, shock sites like LiveLeak and Best Score appear, where anybody with an internet connection can watch real people die in grotesque and brutal fashion. There were fucking categories for the types of deaths that you wanted to watch. A few years after that, Reddit comes in with r/watch people die, which is actually far from the worst thing I've seen on that site. Luckily today, the internet is a safer place, all that shit is taken down, so let's open up Instagram and see what I get on my reels. Perhaps it isn't a coincidence that real and graphic violence has become so normalized on social media platforms, and the best part of this new Faces of Death remake is that it is well aware of that. This movie revolves around a serial killer remaking these deaths from the original film with real people and posting them on TikTok. Now, you might think that people would be a little concerned with how real these deaths look. Let's take a look at the comments on these videos. There is an unnerving parallel to how lightly the violence is treated by netizens in the film and how it's treated in real life. We've become so desensitized to fucked up shit that it is completely plausible for someone to watch the original Faces of Death today and not even bat an eyelid. This movie explores that societal norm and the consequence of forgetting that real people with families and lives are dying right in front of our eyes. They aren't just entertainment, this is real death with real reparations. I think it was really smart to tell this story from the perspective of a content moderator with a traumatic past trying to clean up the internet out of her own guilt. It's a strong character motivation for the danger she puts herself in throughout this film. This movie is by no means subtle in its messaging. It's very in your face, there's even a mini monologue that spells it out for you, but it's very commendable that it tackles this subject matter with a clear understanding of the internet, its inhabitants, and the corporate greed that fuels the problem at hand. Unfortunately, the intelligence on display in the script is overshadowed by the fact that, at its core, this is a dumb slasher movie. The second half of this film becomes very banal and kind of predictable. It's not exactly poorly done, it definitely puts in more effort than its soulless cash grab counterparts, but it is kind of basic and not the direction I wish this movie had gone in. Smart characters make stupid decisions for the convenience of the plot, and tension is broken by horror cliches. I think Dakrim Montgomery gives a fun performance as the serial killer, but his character isn't given enough depth to be a truly memorable fame-obsessed weirdo. Think Joe Keery in Spree. The same can be said for the main character. I wish I felt more sympathy towards her, but she can come across as kind of annoying in the pursuit of the truth. I think Barbie Ferreira is sort of a miscast. She's definitely trying, but her performance isn't that compelling. Charlie XCX is in this movie as well. The top review on Letterboxd basically sums up my thoughts on her.
If I kept a clear head, I'd blow it clear across the office.
The death and gore effects were pretty good, even though the deaths are essentially copy-pasted from the original. Is it worth watching? It's not really scary at all, but it's entertaining enough as a slasher flick with its commentary on social media violence seamlessly interwoven with its characters and script. It does end up being kind of generic and trapped in the pitfalls of its trashy genre, but ultimately it's a decent attempt at an elevated horror movie that stands on its own while being much more meaningful than its exploitative original. I give it a 6 out of 10.